That's not the right
Stage
one.
one, pressing for flight.
We're go for launch. Let's light this candle.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear. Clear. The clock has started. The clock has started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Eagle. Can you mute yours? I don't know. Somebody's got it running. Yeah, that was rough. Sorry, everybody listening. Somebody didn't have their YouTube muted. Welcome to not Verbal Assault. That's another podcast. Welcome to Pressing for Flight, live from the Space Coast, where the schedule never holds. This is what happens when you start early.
We're off to a great start.
Winning. Hashtag winning.
I'm your
Hashtag.
host, Stephen Marr. Good, I got my own name right. Tonight, we have with us Matthew Jordan.
Hi, guys.
We have Matthew, Mr. Cutshaw.
What's going on, everybody?
Matt is going to keep us updated on Astra News because they are within minutes.
That's right.
Supposedly minutes of launch. We have Stephen, Mr. Kegel.
Hi.
We have Becca, Mr. Pinland. Where's your microphone?
It's right here.
And tonight, we have the ultimate SpaceX fan, the herder of cats over at the premier SpaceX enthusiast group, and the Swagmeister, Mr. Bill Carton.
Thanks.
That was awesome. Yeah, I don't know about that intro, y'all. I think everybody in the chat probably heard the intro song a few different times.
That might have been me. I don't know.
A
little bit of
Well, Bill, thank you so much for coming on here. It's an honor to have you. Somebody that knows so much about SpaceX and their history, and I know you've got a bunch of swag you want to show off. But let's talk about the group first, because I made a grave error, and whenever I posted to the group announcing the show, I called you the founder. And earlier when we were running our little test, you informed me that you are not the founder.
Well, I can't take credit for founding it, but like we talked about, I had the vision for the way it is now. It was a troll-filled swamp when I first discovered it.
Yeah.
I said, this is just not good for Elon's reputation. And I said, oh man, it takes me about a week to clean up a pit like that.
Oh,
and yeah, it really, with enough discipline and a vision, right? You have to have, hey, we want this to be professional. We want this to be educational.
Mm-hmm.
We want it to be a place where parents can read it with their kids. So it has to be sort of semi-safe for work.
Yeah.
And professional and educational and no trolls. And it's worked out. So I'm happy.
And it's one of the best places for general space news. You know, like there's been a couple times that I've been like, should I post this here? You know, like we've had a launch, you know, like Perseverance launch is an example, you know, but you've always said that anything space related is okay, right?
Yeah, we're not crazy specific about SpaceX, because fans are almost always fans.
Yeah.
And we've got people like me who've been fans since Mercury days, actually since we blew up Vanguards.
Yeah.
And so there's probably something in history we can always drag out of our memories and say, hey, this applies to Atlas, and it applies to SpaceX, and it applies to Starship. So there's always lessons to be learned.
Absolutely. I try to make sure that when I write articles for pressing for Next Horizons that I try to bring the history into it, and that's where someone like you I really feel like a connection with, because we're both steeped in the space history. Like I've loved it since I was a little kid, and I was watching on TBS the 25th anniversary of the lunar landing. They did a series called Moonshot. And it was based on a book by Alan Shepard and Deke Slayton. It was an incredible story, and it drew me right in. So thank you for passing that historical torch, and thank you for being the kind of fan you are.
Yeah. What?
Oh.
How did it start? What do you have, like a when you found
Oh,
SpaceX kind of story?
Yeah, for me, I was a fan forever of space, but
Maybe we should
but
go
I
back
never,
there. How did that start? Let's start
I
there.
never, yeah. When I was a kid, we used to visit Florida. My grandfather lived south of Miami,
Yeah.
so every spring break we would drive from Massachusetts to Florida, and I'd get to go by Cape Canaveral. And my parents fueled my interest and
Yeah.
bought me books about space, and we got to visit. And that was in Mercury days. So, but then after Apollo, things went dormant for a while. And while shuttle was happening, I went to one launch that got scrubbed at T minus 12 seconds, and I said, "Oh, this ain't going tonight."
Yeah.
It can't possibly reset that fast, because when you start the APUs, there's no hope. Wow, I was, on the side of the highway, blocked in by 3 rows of redneck pick-em-up trucks who, got to T minus 12 seconds and scrubbed. That's the one that had, I forget the number, had Chandra X-ray Observatory on board.
Oh, wow.
It was about midnight. I had to leave the next morning to get back to work. I couldn't extend the vacation. Got down to T minus 12 seconds. They scrubbed excess hydrogen sensor in the engine compartment. And I knew once you start the APUs, you can't recycle that night. You have to go at least 24 hours.
Okay.
So I'm starting to tell all these rednecks, get out of the way. It's not going tonight. And they're all saying, it might. We got to stay, because they hadn't run out of beer yet.
Right.
So
that
I'm
was-
trapped. I'm trapped by rows and rows of rednecks and could not get out. And I'm just muttering to myself all the time, it's not going. They can't recycle. Don't you guys read the manuals?
Yeah.
No, they don't. They just went, on chance it would blow up.
That's kind of amazing. There's somebody around that kind of, knows a thing or two about it, and they don't want to listen to you.
They would not listen. No, they said, no, it might go. It might go.
Yeah.
We've seen
That was
them maybe go.
Columbia, by the way. Columbia STS 93 and 99.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I knew it was right at the tip of my tongue. I was like, oh, I gotta look it up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that was the last time I had the time off from work, and I wasn't on a road trip and for engineering. And I was there, and I couldn't go back. Never saw a shuttle launch in person. I said, this is not going to stand.
Yeah.
So as soon as I knew about Falcon 1, Launch 1, I was watching that webcast and said, hey, Elon might have something here. And then it failed. And then Launch 2 failed, but in a much more exciting way. That was, as soon as you saw that, you said, oh man, it just whacked in. They just got to change the timer on the separation.
Right.
They can fix that with one line of code.
For anyone that doesn't know, that was the one that at stage separation there was still a little bit of residual thrust from the first stage, right? Like it hadn't completely shut down, and so it kind of pushed it up into the second. Am I getting that right? Yeah. So
and the root cause was they had a model for residual thrust, but they ran the model at sea level, not at altitude. There was more residual thrust during tail off when it was up in vacuum.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
And then
understandable for a new company, but
yeah, absolutely
painful for them.
And they were the first private company to make it to orbit, so they didn't really have anyone to go off of, right?
Yeah. And they did something similar but fixable on Falcon 1 Flight 3, and by 4 they succeeded, got to space. Elon got the NASA contract, everything turned around.
Yeah.
But that's the point where I said these guys are special. There's something,
And when
watch them.
So when in there did the Facebook group start, and was it that long ago, or because let's see, when did Facebook start?
Boy, I should have been prepared. I think the group started around 2005 or 6.
Okay, so
and
pretty early.
Pretty early. I came along when it was about Falcon 9 launch 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in the early tic-tac-toe CRS missions.
Yeah, and how many members were there then?
Oh yeah, under 3,000.
Yeah. And now it seems like it's growing quickly, because whenever I went to pull up the page, I was expecting to see like 30 or 40,000, but it's up to 58,000 now.
Yeah.
Dang.
I'm up there, yeah.
Yeah, we're not the biggest, but we modulated our rate of approvals because we're really picky now. We can tell when somebody applies whether or not they're going to be spammers or trolls.
Yep.
Yeah.
But and sometimes I save the screenshot when somebody applies and they answer the questions poorly. We have screening questions. We look at the other groups they're in, and sometimes people try to sneak in and they're members of 42 UFO groups and anti-science groups,
right? And
the insane groups that just want to troll us. So we stopped accepting those, and Facebook took notice, and we used to get 300-400 new applicants every night, and in the morning we'd wake up and start screening, and oh man, what an onslaught. And finally we trained Facebook, because of our acceptance rate was under 50%. We trained Facebook to not send us so many. And that was a breath of fresh air.
That's nice.
Now they all go to one or two of the other groups that are named the same, but that's because Facebook, when a group gets over 5,000, you can't change its name. So we can't call ourselves SpaceX, the best group, SpaceX. Yeah, SpaceX, the technical group. We can't, or it's space. And we can't call the other group, SpaceX Chaos or whatever. But
Becca had to do the questions recently. She's a new member.
Yes.
How did that? Because she's actually like just learning about the space stuff.
I did okay.
How did you do? Yeah.
I got in. Thank you. I was going to ask, that actually covered the question that I had, which I wanted to ask about what some of the worst answers had been to just name something related to SpaceX. And I wanted to know if you guys had to answer those questions too when you joined the group, or was that is it a recent thing?
Yeah, that's a recent.
I had to. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's a recent. Well, that's an update with Facebook. That was a while ago where they because we were one of the beta testers in one of the other groups that I'm in, where the questions was one of the things that they were trying to instill in the groups. So that's actually a pretty recent thing where you have to ask questions.
Stop bots.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it helps stop bots. So a long time ago, before that, it was just you were just approved. There was no questions or anything like that. So the questions are a fairly new update with Facebook. It's actually pretty nice, actually.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the other group, or is that a little more elite, the fun group?
No, that actually that's one of my favorite stories. I do bar talks, let's say. When I was in San Diego, I lived near a brew pub called Wavelength Brewing, science-oriented brew pub. One of the only times I've ever seen that as a market niche. Yeah. Every Friday night, the owner, who was a geek and astronomer, would have science lecturers in. So every few months, I'd give a science lecture there. One night, I was talking about SpaceX Facebook, and after a couple of beers, I said SpaceX Spacebook, and I said, I gotta remember that. That's a great group name.
Right.
And sure enough, so the next day, because we have to deny a lot of memes that are funny as anything, but they're not safe for work and they're not safe to share with your kids,
Right.
7-year-old kids. So I started this other group, SpaceX Spacebook, and that's where we throw the memes and the jokes and the real snarky stuff.
Yeah, you usually
where we-
show your screenshots of the bad applicants, right? I'm
We did
scrolling
some of that.
through- I'm scrolling
Yeah.
through trying to find one if I can. I don't know.
I saw that
and
one,
it-
How to Poop in the Woods or whatever. I was like, that's a 3rd edition. Like, it changed.
Oh,
2 episodes.
anybody who off-roads or camps needs that, right? Or hikes. Yeah. How to
Found new
poop in
ways
the
to
woods.
poop, I guess.
Well, and that leads into the story maybe we'll talk about later. Where's the toilet on the Crew Dragon? It's in the freaking ceiling, right? You're not going to use that on the pad.
And strap on those Depends.
Yeah, but in 0G, there's enough airflow towards it. I think you just need to be close and let fly, and it'll all get sucked in, sort of like the air vents on the shuttle. That's where all the crap collects. If you lose something on the shuttle, sooner or later it'll end up on an air vent on the filters. Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't find one, but I settled on the Hopper Super Duper Heavy. So that's a good
That is cute.
one.
Yeah.
And something I would like pay money to see, actually.
Yeah.
No, we collect memes. Sort of like Reddit Scuts, SpaceX Super Race, and they don't allow the crazy stuff and the pure off topic in the main group. You just can't.
Yeah.
You can't support that when you get 100,000 people or more.
Yeah. All right. What do you want to talk about? Some swag? You are the
Sure.
Swagmeister.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
It's
about
one of the things. Somehow I ended up with a lot of SpaceX employee friends, so they lead me to things, and when they leave the company, sometimes they end up with goodies. And like I keep telling them, their trash is my treasure.
Yeah.
But also, it looked like SpaceX wasn't forming their own museum. So for a few years, I started collecting stuff, and at one point started generating swag for trades and things like that. But yeah, SpaceX doesn't seem to care about the history so much. So we've got stuff that I'll buy any T-shirt that they put in the store. But then there's departmental T-shirts and strange T-shirts. One of them here is from aerospace games, where different space companies get together and have summer sporting events.
Yeah.
So that'll show up on eBay. But let me just go through some of the stuff. I'll drag it out and then throw it to the side. But here's a T-shirt. Here's a T-shirt that they put together. Let me see if that shows up. Yeah, yeah. And on the back, it's like don't ignore leg day.
Wow.
Right?
Now, okay,
So-
is that recent? Is that like talking about like lifting the legs in the port, or what is that? What's it referring to?
No. This is leg day is normally a exercise workout
right.
thing, but I think this was after Orbicon 2. Oh no, first landing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that was okay. First landing.
Yeah, so that's the
landing.
booster. That's a booster that's on display 1027 at Hawthorne.
Right. Yeah, because
But
we call it leg day whenever they have a booster here in port, and we're waiting to see if they're going to lift the legs or take them off. You know, we call that leg day.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought.
Well, anyway, so that's an example. Whoa. Is that you or me? It's not me.
No.
Oh,
Anybody?
I see it. That's me.
Somebody
Stop.
calling you on the phone.
Hard to believe.
It's not coming through anyway. Like you could kind of hear it buzzing a little bit.
Astra is on a hold, by the way.
Huh?
Yeah, Astra is on a hold right now.
Oh.
Yeah, they're having holding troubleshooting the water plunge system.
Do we know what their window is?
They have until midnight.
Oh, okay.
Eastern time.
Cool.
Well, so whatever that is, Pacific time.
Oh, cool.
That would be 9 o'clock Pacific.
Nice.
All
And
right,
then
continue.
our launch, the window opens at 10:12. So
Yeah, well, and
10:12
it's instantaneous.
Pacific time.
Right.
Yeah. 1:12 for you poor guys. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's just an example. I've got over 350 t-shirts now,
Ooh,
if you add
holy
them up. And
mackerel.
that's a lot more than I had missions. So okay, so weird stuff. Here's one thing that showed up on eBay. This is a hoisting lifting strap. It's got SpaceX logo on it from the vendor, but it was never sold to SpaceX. It ended up excess at a distributor's place. And they sold them on eBay, and they were actually less than the value of the thing as a lifting strap. But to collectors, that logo makes it
worth something. Do you know
what
that would have
special.
what that would have been intended for?
Yeah, lifting engines. They
Lifting
use them for lifting all kinds of stuff, but including engines.
Right.
But they have to be, I've heard, they have to be proof tested before they're used, and then there's an inspection sticker involved. So these are clearly non-used.
Okay.
So anyway, that's a shot glass. That's an example of something Elon doesn't allow them to sell in the store. Or from some policy. But anyway, I get these made as trade goods at a wedding supply store. So I just go out and get, wine glasses. Showed you the wine glass, maybe. Go.
Oh, nice.
Wine glass, pint glasses, and shot glasses. And the cool thing about shot glasses is everybody wants them.
Yeah.
So I give them away. There's a bunch of them at Preacher Bar now. But one of the things was I got invited to a test site visit at McGregor. A friend calls up, say, "Hey, I can get you in on the weekend. Can you get here by Sunday?" And I said, "I'll be there."
Yeah.
This is when I was in San Diego. So I go to McGregor, give out some shot glasses to friends, and they say, "Where'd you get shot glasses, man? We love shot glasses. Where'd you get the shot glasses?" I said, "I got a whole closet full of them in Hawthorne. So California's full of shot glasses." Well, that's not true. So then the next week or two, I'm in Hawthorne for a plant tour, and I'm giving out shot glasses. And they say, "Where'd you get the shot glasses? Who's got shot glasses? They're not in our store." I said, "McGregor's in Texas got a closet full of them." And then they go back and forth. It takes them 3 days to figure out I've trolled them.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
and then
McGregor's fun. McGregor's a fun place to tour around.
Oh yeah, you've been there?
I've never seen town.
Yeah, I did an interview for an electronics technician position out there in McGregor.
That's right. I remember you talking about that before.
Wow.
But
So why
now
aren't
Bill
you
just
there?
wants to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me more. Did you pick up?
Did I pick up what? I didn't pick up a job, if that's what you're asking. No, that didn't happen.
No, the collectible gravel from the, with Merlin.
Something that's been thrown by the Merlins. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't let me actually go into the field of death.
Yeah.
But they have this from their testing tower, because they test all the engines before they put them on rockets, right? So they have this huge testing tower, and they'll actually at least they used to test the Falcon 9s before they brought them back to Florida. They do a static fire.
Yeah. Well, they still do. They still run them through there.
Do they still run them through there? I don't know. This was 2 years ago that I did this interview plus tour. But man, it was crazy, because the field where all that exhaust goes is just black for a good 500 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And then there's the cows.
And then there's cows.
And there's my beloved rocket cows.
Yeah.
I did start a fan page for the rocket cows of McGregor.
Yeah.
That doesn't get a lot of traffic nowadays, but yeah, there's fans for the cows.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Son of a gun. Here's another example of something the internal machine shop made on, I think, testing water jets.
Kegel.
Who's replaying something? So anyway, so this is a water jet. It's aluminum, departmental thing. They gave them out to departmental employees, and I picked this up from an ex-employee. He lost it in his closet for years, and finally dragged it out and put it on eBay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was gonna say lift it a little because right where you were holding it was right where all of our thumbnails were.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So
it's aluminum then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a water.
It's aluminum, about half inch or a centimeter thick.
That's very cool. Awesome.
Nice.
3D kind of thing. And then there's VIP swag that I was collecting from mostly Florida sources. But in the old days, Florida had a separate authority to get their own swag for VIPs. So they gave away swag bags to the VIPs that they put on buses to go out like to ITL Causeway and see the launches. Yeah. And they used to contract for swag that Hawthorne didn't have. And then, as I heard later, Hawthorne found out about that and put a stop to it. So they have to have harmonized swag now among the different sites. So no VIP from the Cape gets jealous of a VIP that's been to Vandy.
Really?
So they have to have harmonized swag. But anyway, here's one real rare. Anyway, there it is. It's a car charger for USB. Oh. And when you plug it in your car, it lights up SpaceX backlit on the end.
Oh, very cool.
One of the guys at work has one of those. He got from doing I work for an internet company, and we did a setup one time, and they gave it to two guys that were working one of those.
Oh,
a SpaceX one?
Yeah, that same later.
Ooh,
or that thing.
Okay, my value just went down.
Oh no.
He's probably lost it by now because he's just like, oh, it's kind of cool. But he's not like a fan.
And then I collect every possible kind of coffee or water container. This is one of the more rare coffee cup shapes.
Very cool.
Not so interesting. Here's a new shape of a double tall one.
Okay.
That's pretty recent. But there's always the ones that are in the store, but they're not so interesting. Right. But you have to have at least one. This is the heat-sensitive Mars one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
as you put hot coffee in, it goes to a terraformed Mars.
Your hand, or does it need to be hotter than what your hand can do?
Yeah, it's got wicked hot.
Yeah, okay.
Gotta be hotter than that. Here's one of my pint glasses that I used to buy these by the gross.
Yeah.
And so forth. Okay, some small swag. Okay, I showed you the crew one. That's a brand new one. Came out of AB Emblem. This one I got a CS 133 because of the story behind Dragon Eye.
Right. Yeah. So tell the people about the Dragon Eye.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we talked about that too soon. Yeah, SCS 133 had a payload in the cargo bay, which was an early version of the SpaceX LiDAR sensor that they used later for docking. Yeah. So they put a docking LiDAR sensor in under the nose cone of DM1, DM2 to do the docking.
Right.
And the early prototype of that flew. There are some wicked rare patches I don't have one of. Where the Dragon Eye, I have a repro, but I don't talk about that much because that's sort of a dodgy industry as reproduction patches.
Yeah.
But there's a Dragon Eye. There was a bag of flown patches in the payload that came back.
Oh wow!
Went to SpaceX people, and that's one of the holy grails of swag.
Yeah.
Which I don't have. Now, this one is a holy grail of swag that I do have, which is the Grasshopper project. There's a lot of project T-shirts, departmental project patches too. They don't see the light of day too much. That's wicked rare.
So for anybody that may not know what Grasshopper is, that is the.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna let you do it. Let's.
Oh, gee whiz.
You're the professional here.
Ah, gee whiz. I can't show a picture, but I stood underneath that thing in McGregor.
I can show
If you
a
walk out.
video probably while you're talking. I can pull up a video.
So anyway, yeah, it's into how things. Well, Grasshopper didn't blow up, but the F9R Dev 1 blew up, or Dev 2 blew up. Sorry, Dev 1. But yeah, Grasshopper was sort of like the new Starhopper. It was a single engine hover test. It went up, it hovered, it translated sideways, came back down. Carried a cowboy dressed crash dummy as a payload once.
Yeah. It was supposed to be a human size dummy, right?
Yeah, but it's out in the weeds now. They took the engine out. It's sitting there.
Yeah, it's just sitting there.
I looked at how they built it. They went to off-road shop and bought off the shelf. I won't mention the brand, but off-road shocks to shock absorb the legs.
Yeah, and this was them learning how to land the Falcon 9. Right?
Yeah.
Learning how to land, even proving it was possible to do it.
Yeah, right. But at least Grasshopper, they would fuel up with enough propellant that it could hover, which Blue Origin's New Shepard can hover, but Falcon 9 can't hover. That's why it comes in. It has to land. It's what they call suicide burn. It has to cut off the engine just in time before because if they try to hover, it'll take off again.
Yeah, right.
So that's elegant timing they need.
Yeah. And while we're talking about patches, you mentioned who it is that you're supposed to get your patches from, so they're not counterfeit. And who was it again? What was?
Well, AB does legitimate patches, but sometimes SpaceX doesn't get them made at AB, but they're trying to get out of the market, it seems. So legitimate outfits that offer SpaceX licensed patches are the Space Store is one. There's some legitimate vendors on eBay.
Yeah, we
can talk about them in the group if we detect a new source of fakes.
Yep,
but pretty much anything from Philippines or Malaysia is guaranteed counterfeit.
Yeah. Yep.
So watch out for that.
They come to find out remember the patches we talked about the other day, the DM2 patches.
Yeah,
those were not. Nope.
Yeah,
those ones were. Yeah,
they're dodgy.
Yep.
One place, a super resource for the whole the collector community is called SpaceX Patch List Collectors. Mm-hmm. Google for that. They have an online visual database of patches, all the images of legitimate and counterfeit patches. What
was it? SpaceX.
It's called SpaceX Patch List Collectors, or SPLC. Yep. The guy's very active on Twitter and Reddit, not on Facebook. I repost his ads every month. Pretty much the last day of every month is Swag Day, Swag and Vendor Day.
Right.
Also for photographers to sell their prints. Services, other kinds of swag. Anybody who sells anything space or science related can post up. We try to keep the spam down during the month. Some groups get overrun by spam. So we and Space Hipsters have a harmonized policy. Last day of every month is selling day.
Right.
And that's, you can always look in the group for an SPLC.
And you have to join.
Post.
I just found out. Is this the right one?
Yes, that's the right one. They charge you $1, by the way.
Oh, wait. I didn't mean to hit the frequently asked questions, but I guess.
Yeah, they charge you $1 to become a member, in case anybody is wondering.
Yeah.
Well, it is even charging $1, people give a little more value just having paid $1. Like that in and of itself is a nice wall to keep out.
It's for the scalpers. Yeah. The scalpers is why they do it.
Yeah, but the guy who runs it, it's an invaluable labor of love that he does for the patch community.
Mm-hmm.
And he sources them at fair prices, and rarest patches in the world, he'll find a way to buy a few hundred and put them up, including the odd ones. I've got one right here. Here's one from the 45th Space Wing.
Oh.
45th Space Wing is huge into patches now. They're cranking out sometimes 2 or 3 for every mission.
Yeah, some of these missions I'm finding out that we end up with 3 different patches. You've got the 45th, you've got NASA's, and then you've got SpaceX's patch.
Yes.
For each one.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes the 45th will put out 2 or 3. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then there's a fan art patches. This one doesn't have the SpaceX logo on it, but it's done by a SpaceX enthusiast artist, Abby Garrett, out of Waco, Texas.
Okay.
So write her name down and Google her, Abby Garrett. She sells cartoon, comic books for kids and art up the wazoo, and patches also. She's a fan.
Wow, nice.
Huge fan. But this was when Moon Loop, the original idea of going to the moon, around the moon with a Falcon Heavy, was still viable. Now it's not.
No, yeah, they're not doing that. On to bigger things.
Yeah, and then there's sort of unauthorized, but Space is Hard. This was a patch done by out of the video that Mike Wagner took about Amos 6 on the pad.
Yeah, the fans know what that is, but that is Amos 6 was on the pad for static fire, and something broke and rocket explodes, and what you're seeing here on the left side is the payload fairing with the payload in there falling to the ground, and then it exploded after that.
Yeah, that crushed everybody.
Yeah.
Crushed everybody.
Yeah. And in fact, what I was hoping would end up being my first launch before I moved here, that happened days before I came down on vacation. Because that happened on September 1st of 2016. And I was kind of holding out hope that maybe the launch would get moved, because I was here like a week later. And it was going to possibly be my first launch. And we ended up going to Kennedy Space Center and went on the tour, and I could see the pad from the bus and see, all the charring, just what I could see, from a distance, but it was quite devastating.
Yeah. And the physics of that one were really difficult to put together, but now they learned something about the physics of materials, and everybody benefits because they shared the results with NASA and the other folks. This is an odd thing that used to be in this company store. They come and go once in a while. They restock, but it's a Silicone Luggage Tag.
Right. I've seen a couple
in the shape of the drone ship.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those before.
Yeah, you see those on a plane, you know what the person is into. Here's beer coasters I had made at the same wedding supply store. So I get these made by the gross and hand them out, and people say, "Where'd you get them?" So I can't tell you. But that's another piece. That's another piece of fan art, and then there's fan Etsy art that this 3D printed grid fin, this titanium version.
Is
not
it
the aluminum
one of
version.
those?
Oh, okay. Oh, you're saying, okay, it's modeled after the titanium. I was like, that is not titanium, right?
Yes, that is not titanium. Yeah. But there's a lot of stuff gets sold on eBay, but there's also a subgroup of folks who sell just on Etsy, and dozens and dozens of pieces of fan swag. This is one from a 3D print model that was on Reddit, I think, but it's out there. Thingiverse, I think.
I have mine that Kegel made.
You got one.
It falls off, so it wasn't sitting there. But yeah, it's a little keychain I just set on my microphone here. If I can.
Well, this is just supposed to be a pen holder.
That's
But
cool.
I got to have one
I'll
of this
spend the
kind of
rest the show
stuff.
trying to get this to sit.
Now, talk about sort of non-legitimate stuff that a compulsive completist has to have. Here's an example of
HO
something
scale.
nothing to do with
The
HO
tray.
gauge box cars. There's a guy in Texas just buys box cars, blank box cars by the case.
Mhm.
And he puts all kinds of company logos on them. He does his own water slide decal, custom printing.
Mhm.
There's even a little SPXR on the end. I don't know if you
yeah.
can see that. SpaceX. But there's that.
So I need to
There's-
get with you to get that guy's name after this because I have an HO train set that I would love to add that to.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh,
my,
no
my
kidding.
grandfather would love that. He's a big model railroad guy, and he does
Yeah.
all this HO scale stuff. Yeah, he would love that.
Yeah, so he's selling one on he's sold 6 before. I think I got 4 out of the 6, and somebody was bidding against me for the last couple, and I finally said, no, I can't have all of them. I got to let somebody else have some of this bounty. So I let him go. But you know, this is really marginal swag.
Yeah.
It's fan swag, but really mercenary, and it has nothing to do with the reality.
Right.
It's just when you get obsessed,
Yeah.
you got to have them.
We do have a question from Zach Hall. Wants to know
Really?
if you have the umbrella.
I've got 3 of the umbrella.
Oh.
It's like, yeah,
Umbrella
actually,
Man.
I do. I have 3 of them.
It's still in the package.
Oh man. Yes. Where's-
Oh, he opens it indoors. Risk taker.
Oh no, this is not the SpaceX one. Oh
Oh no.
No.
This is a black.
It's just
umbrella.
a black
I
umbrella.
Yes.
but no, that's true. That's rare.
Yeah.
And I forget if that was in the store. Must have been in the store, but it was also in VIP bags.
Oh nice.
I got this wonderful painting.
That's
That's
a
brilliant.
that's been on FaceX. Yeah.
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 Okay, a few more, and then I'll show you my piece de resistance, the best. I also collect VIP swag.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's not a media
badges.
badge, is it?
Yeah, I got a Falcon Heavy media badge. That was
don't think
tough
we're allowed
because
to
I
show
wasn't
that.
media for that. Oh yeah, you can because
Maybe
the
once
program's
mission's
over.
Yeah. I get
Yeah,
scared about
mission's
showing,
over.
showing media badges anywhere except
As long as
for,
there's a name on it too.
huh?
Oh, the new ones. Yeah, but these are given out like to Steve Jurvetson and his friends
Oh,
at VIP parties.
All right.
And I've got friends that find these in the trash can.
Oh, wow. Wow.
SpaceX Christmas card from about 2014
Wow.
or 2015.
I love it.
That was from a former employee.
That is
Um,
brilliant.
But then this is the kind of swag they used to have in Cape. It's just a little SpaceX thing, earbuds.
Oh, okay.
Nothing special about them,
Right.
but they had the cover
The
imprinted.
kind of thing that a lot of people would just lose. That you know. It
Yes,
ends up,
it's giveaway swag,
Yeah.
right? It's totally wasted. Okay, and then there's the pin industry. Turns out Elon doesn't believe in pins because they can turn into foreign objects and damage things around the factory. So there's some fans who are using their art, and
right.
so we
yeah,
got
launch pins. Yep.
images like that. Launchpins.com.
Right.
We gotta scrap
In any
those.
event,
Yeah.
there's pin collectors. There's the fanatic pin collector industry out there, but
Yeah.
SpaceX doesn't.
Having
doesn't
worked for
support it.
Disney, I have to say they are crazy.
Oh, man,
Pins there.
Oh my god,
So-
I hated trading pins. I hated it, and we had to do it. We had to do it. I would get a pin that I really liked, and I'd be like, "Oh, I want this one," and then someone would come up, "Hey, can I have that one?"
Now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
put
had,
that one in your pocket.
yeah, I know. Well, I learned that later.
FYI, guys, Astra is scrubbed.
Oh.
Rub a dub.
Yeah, they're gonna try again. They're gonna try again tomorrow.
Mm.
Yeah. Hey, poor John Krause.
Yeah, well,
Michael
he's
Caine.
he's chilling.
Michael
in
Caine
Alaska.
wanted to know if we talked about the train set yet. Yes, we just showed the boxcar.
Who asked about that?
Michael Caine.
There's
Michael
the
Caine.
boxcar. Oh, there's the boxcar.
I have these images that you sent me. Also, we've got this one.
heck
SpaceX
yeah.
underwear.
Wait, where can I get those?
What's the thing on the front?
I don't know.
It's a picture of the Falcon Heavy.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you
Just the tip of the rocket sticking out.
Was there a story about these? Do you own a pair of these?
I own 2 pairs of those. They came from China. They're as unofficial as you can get.
Are they comfortable?
And I don't know. I'm not putting them on.
Oh, okay.
No, they're.
Oh yeah, the SpaceX #1 finger. Right.
Yeah, that's. Are you
Yeah, if you click,
posting those and I'm not seeing them?
click on the thumbnail that is just like the other one where I'm sharing my screen.
Oh yeah, I get it. Okay, yeah, that was we're #1 kind of thing from a holiday party.
Yeah.
At 1 or 2 sites, and I get a lot of people contact me after parties, say, "Hey, I picked this up swag at the party instead of throwing it out. Is that worth $1?" And I say, "Yeah, it's worth more than $1.
More than $1,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it.
It's more tree fitting.
Okay, and this one, this was just
This
a
is
huge gaff for Falcon Heavy. Go ahead.
huge freaking gaff. The image on the left is some Reddit art that somebody put out, and instead of a falcon, he put up a rooster. So anyway, that ended up on the first page of Google results if you looked for Falcon Heavy logo.
Right.
Somebody at Delaware North, who's the concessionaire that runs Kennedy Space Center, they picked up that art, had it laser etched onto champagne glasses. They included a champagne glass with each of the $250 tickets that they charged for the close-in launch. I couldn't get media pass for Falcon Heavy, so I ended up with my wife at the expensive seats at the Saturn V Center. Yeah. And
how long did it take for someone to figure it out? Did you say
I didn't
it?
figure it out at the time because I didn't even open mine, but I picked up a couple extra that people had laying around, and now those are super collector items because it's such a huge goof.
Yeah.
No fan would ever do that, right?
Yeah.
But
anyone that doesn't know,
brilliant.
it's right. It just has the little, what do you call that on top of a chicken?
Combs, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so
the chicken heavy.
Chicken heavy, yeah.
But it's like no fan was involved in that swag.
Right.
Now here's a wonderful piece of safety vest swag. And here it is.
Yeah.
That I've heard that they're not happy I own that, but I got it fair and square off eBay from a former employee, and if they wanted to control their stuff, they could retrieve it from former employees a little bit better. But I wear that safety vest to cosplay a SpaceX employee at Yuri's Night. Right. There was one year, actually for a couple of years, I went to both Yuri's Night. They did LA and then the Cape. Same organizers, different coast. So I wore the same thing. And on the West Coast, we have it at the Endeavor California Science Center. Mm-hmm. And to have 1,200 space nuts have a party at the Endeavor is just stunning. That's a life-changing event. And so I wore the same. So I wore the same thing out to the East Coast and hung out with the folk. I mean, half the photographers are there, and all my buddies, and you know. So that was another That was another thing.
Let's see, what
Here's a. You got another. Oh yeah,
last one.
just the to the depths of subtlety that collectors will go through. That's a SpaceX leftover food container, like a Chinese food container they had at VIP parties in the mighty Cocoa Beach Hilton. And it just happened to be some leftovers, and a friend said, "Hey, you know, I bet Bill would love these."
And he was right.
So I said, "Yeah." So I mean, it's like taking yogurt cups from their cafeteria.
Right.
There are people, not me, who will dumpster dive if they don't have their own yogurt cup or soda cup with the SpaceX logo. They'll dumpster dive on Crenshaw outside. There's a trash can for people looking at the booster, and it'll be full of used yogurt cups. Yeah, they'll pick them up, rinse them out, say, "Hey, I got a piece of SpaceX swag."
Or trash.
Yeah, or trash. Yeah. Here's another.
Trash.
Here's another eBay thing that sort of looks like something Tory Bruno would wear.
Yeah.
Tory hat.
Yeah, Tory hat. Somebody slapped. It's not official, but somebody slapped a Falcon 9 sticker on this. You know, it's an official hard hat.
It is a hard hat. It's actually a hard hat.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we just found our thumbnail.
Yeah.
What's that?
We just
I
found
thought the same thing.
Gee whiz. Okay, down to the last couple. Here's a sample from a party where they had, this is Vandenberg, I think, but they had these
For flights?
for flights.
Yeah.
Yeah, to carry, but it was, you know, burned in, got nice little things on the bottom. Yeah,
Very cool.
that's rare.
We need to make a pressing for flight.
Yeah, there's
Should make
all
it.
kinds
I can make
all kinds of swag.
for flights.
Here's a cutting board. It just got
SpaceX cutting board.
SpaceX cutting board they gave away it's a departmental thing. Lawn Chops, Vandy. I'm pretty sure this is Vandy, 2015.
Wow.
I am so impressed that these things exist.
Yeah, me too.
They're subtle. That you got to chase them. It takes a long time. Then there's the last three pieces here are some of my favorite, but they're flown hardware. They either give or sell these to employees, and sometimes when an employee leaves, they can dispose of them how they want. Sometimes they sell them on eBay, or they contact me because they need to cash them in right away. One guy had a really sad story about his dog needing surgery, and he needed quick cash, so he reluctantly had to sell some items. And I said, "Oh, you know, sure, I can help you with that. We both win. You get your dog surgery." But that's the story behind some of these things. Yeah. It would cost somebody their job if they sold them as a current employee. So we have to be careful to say that. But here's this is a plaque, and it's got a certificate of authenticity on the back from the pad abort test. But this is flown parachute material retrieved out of the water.
Very cool.
There's patches of similar stuff where they put some flown parachute material in the patch. That's sort of cool. Then every year around, I think by the end of the year, they have a charitable contribution fund where if you contribute to the fund or buy into the swag offering for the year, you get flown hardware. Mm-hmm. And ex-employees have sometimes put these things on eBay, but here's an example of this one. This is from SES-10, the first reused booster, and it's an actual piece of flown grid fin intersection there with some cork still on it. Wow! And that is one of my.
So that's one of the aluminum Aluminum grid fins?
Yeah, this is aluminum grid fin. Yeah, they've never sliced up a titanium one that I've heard.
Oh yeah, because they probably would need to hold on to those because those things are cheap.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is my last for show and tell, but this is probably the most priceless piece I've got.
Okay.
But this was from the Falcon Heavy inaugural launch, the flown swag. So it's from Falcon Heavy inaugural launch. I hope this stays in focus.
Yeah, it is.
But it's a piece of tank skin and a Merlin engine nozzle fragment. And if you look at the edge, you can see how thick the tank skin is.
Wow.
And you can see the machined in cooling fins in the copper liner of the nozzle.
Very cool.
Dang.
And through a really generous mutual friend here.
It says to Bill Mars or Bust, right?
There it is. To Bill Mars or Bust, Tom Mueller.
Oh,
wow.
Wow. Like
who's
yeah.
the engine designer, employee number 2.
Oh man.
After Elon. So this was actually touched by Tom.
Yeah.
Had to ship it to the friend, and the friend was going flying with Tom. So anyway,
Wow.
we're going to anyway.
That's
so
awesome. That is
awesome.
definitely.
I
the
don't
best
think
piece
that
right
can
there.
ever. I don't think that can be duplicated ever,
No.
and that will go to a museum because that's my intent. After I croak,
And
I'm not
didn't
going to last forever.
Now you mentioned the Wavelength Brewery. Didn't you kind of have like a mini museum in there for a while, or is it still there?
Yeah,
Do you have some of your swag there?
Yeah, it's still there. Hans, the owner, has a great collection of his own, so that's still there. I took down a couple of pieces and brought them with me when I retired to Portland. So one of them I don't have a place to put up yet, but it's a metal sign, 2 feet by 13 feet. It's a SpaceX. And it was on the wall of a storage building in Kwajalein. And when they cleared out of Kwajalein, a lot of stuff ended up in a dumpster. And this young kid Air Force guy said, hey, this is going to be worth something someday. And he rolled it up and carried it with him for 5 or 6 or 7 years and put it on eBay for way too high a price. And another collector and I looked at that and said, "Yeah, that'll come down." And within a year, he came down close to a reasonable price. And the other collector and I said, "Hey, have you got a room to store it?" And he didn't, and I had Wavelength, so I put it up at Wavelength for a while. But I needed that with me in Portland. Now I'm retired, so that'll go up in the garage or man cave, whichever I put the collection in.
Well,
but yeah, it's hard to put a price on something like that because it was dumpster diving. It'll never be repeated.
Yeah.
Anyway, sometime maybe when Elon's on Mars, this will all be worth $1. But it wasn't my intent. My intent was to keep it because they aren't, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great idea. I think there should be a museum. I'm surprised that they don't have something like it. In none of their facilities, they don't have any kind of a secret room where they keep stuff like that.
Not really
Well,
that I've heard of.
If there are, nobody's talked about it. That there has to be a swag closet there because there's always swag that never sees the light of day, like Zuma patches. You know, a few of them got out after Zuma missions sort of maybe failed, but they took them all back from the public. They did give them out to employees, but those are all numbered. So actually, this is a rare case where the unnumbered Zuma patches are worth more than the numbered ones because there's fewer of them loose. Hey, are people asking questions there? I can't even see.
Michael Kane wants to know about the broken glass.
Oh, the broken glass rocket cam window?
I think so,
Yeah, broken glass. That's one that was actually seen on the webcast as the as the rocket came down to land, there was thermal issues, and the glass broke. So it's got a zigzaggy
Yeah, I remember.
crack in it.
There was one. Yeah,
and the story goes that was not super special glass. It needed to be, pretty much anybody in aerospace knows that needs to be sapphire glass to be super robust and temperature resistant. So so this guy recommended that they use sapphire glass. They took the suggestion and gave him the cracked one as thank you swag. And then he's left the company years ago, and it didn't mean so much to him. And he knew about me in the collection for posterity, so he offered it to me. And I said, that'll be on a nice plaque as soon as I invest in some acrylic like the rest of the Flown Swag. But yeah, that was not only Flown Swag, but seen on webcast Flown Swag.
Right.
So that was special.
I remember the shot from the rocket was. It was weird. Everybody was like, "What is going on?" It's like the window cracked.
Yeah, it's really interesting. They must do something to try to keep it clean, because there's a little plenum. Looks like it's 3D printed into the top of it. That looks like they could plumb in something like dry nitrogen to keep the surface clean. Better than a windshield wiper, but they usually got all sooted up anyway.
I just picture like when I used to watch NASCAR a lot, and you see the cameras from like either the front bumper or the rear bumper, and you'll every once in a while it gets dirty, and then you just see the glass kind of like slide out of the way and reveal like cleaner glass. But I don't think they're doing that on Falcon 9. But that's the first thing I think of. It's not being wiped. It's like the entire glass is sliding to the left.
Yeah, it's just like a MotoGP. They call them tear-offs on their visors, on their helmets.
Well, but
they just rip off another layer. It's like a sticker almost.
Right, but you can't do that when you're going 200 miles an hour and the camera's on the bumper. I'm talking about like it would automated, like the glass in
it's
front
an
of the
automated
camera
thing
would slide off. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Like they'll do that on the windshield or on the visor or whatever. But this
that's in response to the NASCAR thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot one last thing. Can I take it off? Yeah. Here's another rare piece. Yeah, that shows up.
Yeah, it does have the SpaceX logo.
There's two kinds of Tag Heuer watches. One of them's, let's see, can I get the back up here? Yeah, one of them has there's better pictures of this online.
Yeah, I can't really see it too well.
I do see it says SpaceX, and it has like a serial number on it.
Yeah.
Dear Santa.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Well, anyway, the story behind the two SpaceX watches is one of them was put out in 2012. 2012, I think. Yes, by Tag Heuer, and they made exactly 2012 of them. It was a higher end movement, but there's 2,000 of them in the world, so they're not as rare. This one that I've got, I actually have two of them. Took a lot of tracking down to even find them. They don't show up on eBay, but there's a whole Tag Heuer watch collecting community that you have to get into and get trusted by. But anyway, these watches, the rumor is there were only 300 or 400 commissioned by Elon, and he gave them out in around the 2015, 2014 time period to key employees or people did something special he wanted to reward. He didn't give them all out. And some surplus, maybe 50 or 100 of them, I'm not sure the exact number, ended up in the company store for a while, so random employees could buy them, but there are definitely no more than 400 made, and only internal. So I've got one. I've got one I never touch, never wear, and this one is my daily, everyday item. But
Cool.
yeah,
Man.
yeah, cost more than my first car did in 1973.
Wow.
Cars were cheap in 1973.
Yeah.
They were. And watches are super expensive, especially Tag Heuer.
Yeah.
So we are.
How are we doing it?
On time? Yeah, we're. It is 11 o'clock, so I feel like we should go ahead and at least talk about Crew Dragon Splashdown. It was it was incredible. I mean, I don't know that we're going to give anybody any news that they don't already know, but it was super exciting. It was stressful. I had the stream going. Actually, they were streaming for 24 hours since from undocking straight through splashdown
all the way down.
Yeah, and so that was really cool that they did that. I think the big surprise to everybody was, and I have a
Wayward Boats.
Yeah, the Wayward Boats. Yes, the ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Redneck boats.
The army, the army of boats that descended upon them. And
God, man.
Yeah, it kind of it's
irritating.
Okay, so what has really happened here? Because I read there was an article that they interviewed one of the people from the boats, and he shared some of his photos. I don't know if he got paid for it, but the stuff's out there. So he's saying, hey, it's not our fault because the notice to mariners said stay away from the splashdown zone. Once they're splashed down, it's fair game. That's not what the notice to mariner said, because I actually looked up the notice to mariner. Okay. And the notice to mariner said it was a keep out area for a specified period of time, which it was longer than that. So they actually did break the law. They entered a keep out area. But the Coast Guard,
free country, buddy.
It's a free country, yeah. But I don't know, man.
That was that one guy's excuse, though.
I think he was being facetious.
I think he was being facetious, but yeah.
No, I mean Kegel was. Yeah, the guy that was his defense.
That was one of those. That was the guy's quote.
Yeah, absolutely. They have cool pictures, like good for them, but like what did they gain?
It could have been a very bad situation.
It could have been an awful situation.
Yeah.
What kind of security does it take to get a photographer up for a pad visit? Dog sniffing.
Yeah.
And the rest.
Right. Oh yeah. They do all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Look
in your trunk.
In that capsule, what people may not realize, it's not just like NASA wants their space and they don't want you close to it. They're afraid you're going to bump into it with your boat. There are toxic fumes that can be coming out of the Dragon at that time. And
which is why they actually had a pause in the, taking them out of the capsule. They had to pause for 5 minutes to look for nitrogen tetroxide. Yes, it's one of the two different. What kind of fuel are they called?
Hypergolic.
Yeah.
Hypergolic. They're self-igniting fuels, right?
Right.
So it's one of the two. The other one is even worse. It's hydrazine, monomethyl hydrazine.
There it is. Wow, very good. Yeah, so that's. I hope that they figure out a way to, keep them. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a really bad day if it ever is leaking. These chemicals and some passersby. They could die. I mean, if you inhale this stuff, you can die pretty quickly.
It's not you can die. You will die if you get this stuff anywhere near you. It's very highly toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Highly toxic. It kills people. Yeah. So, and not only that, I think what happened was the Coast Guard was like, okay, nobody's going to be out here for this, right? So they sent 2 boats. They didn't realize that there was going to be an inrush of 30 different vessels as soon as the thing hit the water. They were expecting maybe 1.
Yeah. Somebody that happened to see it come down or something.
Yeah, someone who happened to see it come down. I think it's going to need to be a combination of enhanced security plus not publishing the landing zone.
But they have to send out the NOTAM.
They do have to
Yeah.
send out the NOTAM, but the requirement is that NOTAM it can be held off until like 2 hours before it goes active.
But then they'd probably be afraid that everybody wouldn't see it. Like it goes both ways. Looking at it from a safety perspective, you want to let people know so that they'll stay away, but then you don't want to let them know so that they don't know. But then if they don't know, then what if Dragon comes down right on top of somebody?
Yeah, I mean, that's the line you got to draw. But if these people are going to be idiots and charge in after the thing, you can't publish it. Or maybe they need to. The thing's designed to land on land. Why not just start landing it on land?
Well, because they're not going to use the Super Dracos, and it would have to use the Super Dracos.
Yes. I understand why they're not doing it, but and that's NASA's decision. But honestly, if the thing is designed to land on land and they know it can land on land, land it on land.
Well,
it's
would be nice.
easier to control land.
Yeah,
it's easier to control land than it is to control ocean.
I don't think they're going to do it because then they have to put feet protruding through the heat shield, and that was where NASA drew the line, as far as I understand it. They didn't want to have holes in the heat shield where the feet would come out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe they'll just have more security, more Coast Guard cutters out there.
Or actually just fine people for being over there.
Yeah. Well, that would be nice.
After people spend a little bit of money on fine, they might not want to go out there next time.
Yeah.
Zach Hall said those dudes totally used the stay away warnings as the map to find them. Yep. Yeah. Oh, Stephanie was just saying that she got her parents to watch with her, and they don't give a crap about space, but they thought it was cool. Okay, and then also our very own Kyle was out there all
Kyle.
day at the Port of Pensacola, and he got some shots of Dragon as it came into the port.
He got the legit shots.
Yeah, the shots.
Shots.
Yeah, he was standing on land when he got these shots. So.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
He did it the right way.
Yeah. And according to Gavin, and this update is from 8:46 this morning. Obviously we're all looking at Gavin's SpaceX fleet.
The boat did ping a couple hours ago.
Oh, it did.
Like between 1 and 2 or something I last saw.
Okay. Well, yeah. So see, according to this tweet from this morning, he was saying it could be late morning to early evening. I'm going to go ahead and go to his page and see if maybe he's tweeted anything. Nope. Last tweet was retweeting Elon's picture of the SN5, which we'll move right on to SN5. You've all seen
that was super awesome, beautiful.
Yep. Yes, this was monumental.
That's a corn silo taking off.
Yeah. And then blew up I think I've seen people hypothesize that that's like the walkway around the test stand that blew up. One thing that's stuck with me is how not bright this engine burns. The Raptor's burning methane and oxygen, and it's not that bright, which is kind of interesting. I think it's gonna make for
those landing legs are super cute.
Yeah, I know. Look at that. Let's look at these.
Oh my
Little
god.
Toxin legs.
That's adorable.
Yeah. Stubby little legs.
Yeah, just these little stubby little legs pop out. That is adorable.
Yeah, it's interesting that it has such a narrow stance. It's only the width of the cylinder itself, unlike Falcon 9 has this wide leg span whenever it lands.
No, because Falcon 9 is very skinny comparatively. It's very heavy up top. It's very top heavy.
Yeah, there you go.
This one is going to be bottom heavy because it's so wide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's that.
There's that little bit of fire that was in the engine in that one shot.
Yeah, there was it looked like a leak. Scott Manley pointed out that it looked like there was a leak in the engine. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure because with when you see a Falcon 9 launch, you'll a lot of times see flames building up above the nozzles, but that's more of like a turbulence thing. It's catching the heat and I don't know, the turbulence. It sucks that heat up there, and it's enough to burn. But yeah, Yeah, maybe that.
No,
is where it came
that's not coming from
That's not
the
right.
engine.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that
that's
there it sprung a leak.
from. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
But hey, man, it survived the hop.
Yeah, stay together.
Fine tuning.
It stayed together. Yes.
Yes. Big
Fine
week
tuning.
for SpaceX. I mean, big week for space in general. I mean, both of these things are monumental. Landing, bringing Bob and Doug back safely. It's so nice to have that finally behind us. It's like, because everyone was so excited about the DM2 launch and then being up on the space station, but you have in the back of your mind, they still got to come home.
They got to come home. Yeah.
And that's really the most dangerous part. The riskiest part is the coming home.
There's no abort from a re-entry.
Right.
No.
Yeah. And then, of course, Starship, and they're just moving forward. And I think this is going to give them confidence to go with the 20-kilometer hop. And then they got to do a 20-kilometer next and then the 150, which I think the 150-kilometer hop will include the belly flop and the flip and wiggle.
Yeah, that'll be like almost a full flight, orbital flight profile. 150 kilometers is essentially a flight profile.
Right, but I think they're just going to go straight up, just get out of the atmosphere, go horizontal, and then do the belly flop and practice that landing technique.
It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, just think, just a year ago was Starhopper, roughly, right? It was about a year ago that Starhopper happened. Imagine what they're going to do in the next year. We might see like a full-scale Starship completed.
Yeah,
and
that's the goal. They were saying last year that this year was the year they were going to have Starship done by the end of the year.
Right.
And Elon likes to push his deadlines. He likes to make those things happen.
Mm-hmm.
He gets upset when they don't.
All right. Well, we have pushed it, and we are trying to get out of here because we have a launch tonight. We have
Bye, guys.
We got Starlink coming up 1:12 a.m., 5:12 a.m. UTC. So I'm sure you guys are all counting down. You're going to tune into the webcast if you're not already here out on the Space Coast. Thank you to everybody in chat. Thank you, Bill, for coming and showing off your swag. This has been great.
Swagmeister.
Anybody that hasn't, like, I don't know if some people came over from the Spacex group, the Spacex group. Feel free to like, subscribe. Watch our shows. We do this every Thursday night, 10 o'clock Eastern, 2 a.m. UTC, and that'll have to be a show.
Demolish that like button.
Sequence initiated. Shutting down.